In this series of financial management, we are talking about the topic of capital budgeting. Till now, we have discussed about the traditional methods of capital budgeting. Capital budgeting as a technique is used for long-term decision making for investment of long-term assets. So we have till now talked about the traditional methods, which includes payback period method and accounting rate of return method, which do not take into consideration the time value of money aspect. There are three more techniques which are discounting techniques of capital budgeting, which includes net present value method, internal rate of return method, and profitability index. So we'll discuss about it in detail in this lecture. So the net present value method basically takes into consideration the difference between the present value of inflows and the present value of outflows. So whenever a company has to take a long-term decision of investment, long-term fixed asset investment, let's say a company wants to start a project with production at a particular site, now there can be various alternatives in the hand of the company to open up their factory at location A or location B. So whichever place they want to open that factory, they would do the cost benefit analysis. They would see that how much is the cash outflow for each location. Now that outflow can happen at time period 0, at time period 1 or 2. And they would also look at the inflows of the project started at location A or location B in terms of that, how much returns of production and sales it is going to give in next 1 year, next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. So like this, as a finance manager, we have to project and we have to forecast the cash inflows and the predictable cash outflows which we are going to make at two different locations or for two different projects which we are looking at for taking this decision, that which project will be more relevant or which project will give us better returns in terms of the cost benefit analysis. So when we are looking at the cash outflow of the project, which we will incur during the first year, in the second year or the third year, so the project cash outflows which are going to incur in the second year or in the first year, they have to be discounted to its present value. Similarly, the inflows which the company, let's say production starts in the first year, and at the end of the first year there are a certain number of goods sold. So whatever sales are made by the company, so how much is that sales in today's worth? So what is the present value of that sales? So like this we have these tables available, or we can do some calculation and find out the present value of rupee 1 which we are going to get after 1 year, or which we are going to spend after 1 year, and consider its present value in today's worth. And those present value of inflows, which are forecasted values, and those present values of outflows are subtracted, are taken into consideration to get the net present value. So the thumb rule for choosing a project by the method of net present value method is that any project which has got higher net present value should be chosen. So this method, net present value method, it considers time value of money. Net present value discounts all cash inflows and outflows which are attributable to capital investment project by a chosen percentage, that is weighted average cost of capital. It takes sum of all present values of cash inflows and deduct it from the outflows of the project. If the yield or the net present value is positive, then the project is acceptable. Or if there is a consideration between two projects, so whichever project is going to give us higher net present value should be chosen. If two projects are independent, then we have to accept if the project net present value is greater than 0. But if there are two projects which are mutually exclusive, then we should accept the project which has got highest net present value. That means they are going to give us better returns as compared to the other project. If we talk about net present value as a method and its superiority to accounting rate of return method, it is a better method because it takes into consideration time value of money. It also takes into consideration the timing of cash flows. as when we are, in which year we are going to get how much cash inflows and outflows. So that is also taken into consideration. And it also fulfills the objective of business, which is maximizing the wealth. So this gives the high return. The project which gives the high return is chosen in this method. Another method of doing capital budgeting analysis is internal rate of return. It is also a discounting technique. Now it is similar to net present value method. As in net present value, we subtract the present value of outflows minus present value of inflows. So whichever project, whichever project will give us, higher inflows than the amount of outflows we have incurred. So that means whichever project will be positive and will be greater than 0, that project should be chosen. But internal rate of return, now all of this calculation is done at a discount rate. Because when we are taking into consideration time value of money, we have to find out a discount rate or the prevailing rate of interest which is going on in the market. So that rate of interest need to be, is usually identified by the manager based on what is the present interest rate scenario, what is the risk-free rate of interest, how much is the opportunity lost, and lot of other factors which we'll discuss based on that. Now, internal rate of return is that method which talks about that whichever project will be able to give us, break-even situation at a lesser cost is a better project. So internal rate of return as a method is that a project will be chosen whose net present value is 0. Now we have to find out a rate of return or a discount rate at which project A and project B, its net present value comes out to be 0. So that means this method needs to apply a lot of trial and error work. So we need to look at that, what will make this project give, let's say, an NPV as 0. So what should be that rate? What should be that discount rate at which project A will make NPV 0 and project B will make NPV 0? So IRR is that discount rate that forces present value of inflows equal to its cost and NPV is 0. It is a percentage rate of return based upon incremental time-weighted cash flows. And we usually follow trial and error approach for this. Next method is profitability index. So profitability index as a method is an extension of net present value method. It takes into consideration present value of future cash inflows divided by initial investment. So if we in the calculation we have done the net present value, so 1 plus net present value divided by initial investment will give us profitability index. And any project should be chosen if its profitability index is greater than 1. So profitability index basically measures NPV, net present value, per rupee invested. For independent projects, this profitability index method yields conclusions which are identical to the net present value method. For mutually exclusive projects, differences in project size can lead to conflicting conclusions. So in that case, NPV method is a better method which is recommended. Profitability index as a method is more useful when there is capital rationing. Now, what are the factors that influence discount rate to be applied to a project? So basically, this discount rate, when we are estimating this discount rate as a manager for our upcoming project which we are going to launch, and we have to take a decision that which project is better. So this discount rate is calculated on the basis of interest foregone. That means what is the prevailing rate of interest in the market at which we can, if we invest the money, we are going to get the returns. Then we look at the rate of inflation. So it is inflation adjusted rate. So the amount of inflation is also added to it because over a period of time this inflation is going to reduce the purchasing power of money. And third, the risk premium. The risk premium is now what is the riskiness of the project. So how much extra risk we are going to take for launching a particular project, that also has to be taken into consideration. The effect of inflation can be complex on capital budgeting decisions or any asset value because asset value is a function of both required return and the expected future cash flows. The changes can cancel each other out, leaving the project's NPV unchanged. Inflation affects the cash flow as it affects revenues and expenses of the project. It also affects the cost of capital. Higher the expected inflation, higher are the returns required by the investors. Thus, effect of inflation must be properly incorporated in the net present value analysis. So, cost of capital in real terms, in the nominal terms, is calculated as cost of capital in real term multiplied with 1 plus rate of inflation. The NPV of a project is unchanged as long as the cash flows and cost of capital are expressed in consistent terms, both in real and nominal terms. If inflation is expected to affect revenues and expenses differently, these differences must be incorporated in the analysis. Now let us talk about risk analysis techniques in capital budgeting. Why risk analysis is important in capital budgeting? Risk basically relates to uncertainty about a project's future profitability. Now what happens when we are taking a decision of investing in long term in some fixed asset and we have various alternatives to choose from? So usually if let's say we want to start a new factory or we want to launch a product in a new market, let's say in a foreign market or in a national market, and we have to take a call that where we should launch the project. So in that case, we have to forecast the inflows and outflows of both the alternatives or the various alternatives which are available to us. Now, since a manager is going to do all the forecasting in terms of what will be the outflows on the project, how much will be the initial cost incurred in the first year, in the second year likewise, and how much would be the project inflows, let's say in terms of sales in revenue, how much production will be made, what are the factors that can affect the production, what are the factors that can affect the sale. So all of these factors need to be estimated, need to be predicted, and their probabilities need to be calculated before a manager decides upon or make this calculation or do this forecasting of or do the valuation of a particular project, that whether a project is to be selected or the alternative project is to be selected, or whether they have to invest the money in this or not. Now, whenever we are talking about future is uncertain and there is risk attached to it. So, as a finance manager, we have to take a decision in terms of, that we are taking into consideration the risk attached in terms of what are the chances and probability of happening of something or not happening of some events which we assume are likely to happen. And based on that, if we make the net present value calculation, so our calculations will be more accurate or our results will be more reliable. So there are various techniques of risk analysis in capital budgeting. We'll discuss them. These techniques include certainty equivalent method, risk adjusted discount rate method, sensitivity analysis, scenario analysis, decision tree analysis, standard deviation method, and coefficient of variation method. Talking about all of these techniques briefly, let's first talk about certainty equivalent approach. Now basically in this technique, the manager who's taking a decision of choosing out of the two projects, he has two projects in mind and one of them has to be chosen. So while predicting the figures of inflows and outflows, he needs to give a certainty equivalent coefficient. He needs to define that if he's saying that in the first year of the project implementation, the company will be able to sell 10,000 units of the product, and second year this sales will be 20,000, third year this sales will be 25,000. So how much certain he is about this prediction? So if he can give some probability to that, the certainty level of the sales happening in the first year for 10,000 units, second year the sales will be 20,000, and he's 70% certain about it, or the certainty equivalent probability is 50% or 90%. So in that case, those probabilities will be multiplied with the cash flows. And then their present value will be calculated. So then we will get present value of certain cash flows, and it will be subtracted from the present value of certain cash outflows. So then we will get a net present value. Now this net present value is adjusted for the certainty equivalent probabilities. So the project is adjusted for risk by converting the expected cash flows to certain amounts and then discounting it at a risk-free rate. So we can use this formula and then we can find out the net present value thus calculated. Second method is risk-adjusted discount rate approach. As we have studied in capital asset pricing model, that expected return from a project or from an asset can be calculated as risk-free rate of return plus market risk premium multiplied with beta of the project. So if there are two projects in hand and we have to decide about that which project should be chosen. So if we know that beta is the sensitivity of the project with respect to the market returns. So how sensitive is the project with respect to the market returns? That value is beta. So if we are able to judge, or we have to calculate the beta of the project, or this beta is sometimes given for the purpose of for management students or for graduate students, you will find that this value is given in the question. So that value will be added to the discount rate. So if we know that beta of project A is 2%, beta of project B is 3%, then this project beta can be added to the discount rate to calculate the net present value. So then that net present value will be risk adjusted discount rate net present value. And this would give us a better picture, which is risk adjusted in terms of our calculation of net present value. Another technique we are going to talk about is sensitivity analysis. Sensitivity analysis basically is a technique where we are trying to study various variables and what is the impact of each variable on the sales and the returns figure. So this shows how changes in variables such as unit sales affect NPV or IRR. Sensitivity analysis shows how changes in a variable such as unit sales affect NPV or IRR. So basically, sensitivity analysis is going to identify all those variables that have an impact on the cash inflows and probable cash outflows. So to which variables the project is more sensitive, that we want to identify. Now, this can be done using some sort of simulation modeling. And so what we do is that each variable is fixed except one of the variable, and we try to change one variable and see its impact on the overall NPV of the project. So the percentage change in that variable, if the change in NPV or IRR is much more than percentage change in that variable, that means the project is more sensitive towards that particular variable. And there can be some other variables to which the project is less sensitive. So in case we can predict that for certain number of variables, the project is more sensitive. We can be careful while evaluating or while taking into consideration the impact of those variables on the sales of the project. So this basically answers what if questions like what if the sales decline by 30%. Now, what are the factors that can affect the project NPV in terms of inflows and outflows, to which a project can be more sensitive? It can be sales price, it can be annual sales volume, project life, financing cost, operating cost, initial outlay of the project. So change in the value of an independent variable by X percentage, let's say it happens. Then we calculate that how much change happens in the dependent variable and compare the percentage change. So if the percentage change in the dependent variable is more than the percentage change in the independent variable, that means the project is more sensitive to that variable. Now there are some limitations of this technique, that it does not reflect diversification, it does not talk about likelihood of change, and it ignores relationship among other variables, but it does give some idea of the standalone risk. That is one benefit, and it also identifies potentially dangerous variable to the project and also gives some break-even information. Next technique is scenario analysis. Now, what is scenario analysis? In case of scenario analysis, a manager predicts three kinds of scenarios: worst case, most likely case, and the best case scenario. It provides a range of possible outcomes, and then we predict the probabilities for each of the scenario, that what will be the outcome of sales or cash inflows in case the worst situations come up, in case the best situations or most optimistic situations come up, and most likely situation, what will be the project returns or inflows, and those probabilities are then multiplied with the net present value. Thus we get scenario based project. So the projects which do not deviate much between the worst and the best possible cases are more stable projects to be chosen. Decision tree is another technique. It is a diagrammatic representation of relationship among decision states of natures and outcomes. Decision trees are constructed left to right, and the branches represent possible alternative decisions which could be made and the various possible outcomes which may arise. So the probabilities are multiplied with the cash flows to get the probable cash flows. Then there are other techniques like standard deviation and the coefficient of variation. Now standard deviation will also explain that how much our returns or our inflows are going to vary with respect to the mean value, with respect to the average value of returns. So the projects which have got lower standard deviation, lower coefficient of variations are considered to be more stable and better projects, and we can think of choosing those projects and using those projects in our analysis. Another technique is simulation analysis. Simulation analysis is basically a computerized version of scenario analysis, which uses continuous probability distributions of input variables. So computer basically selects value for each variable based on given probability distribution, and this is how we try to do it. NPV and IRRs are calculated. The process is repeated many times, like 1000 to 5000 times. Basically, end result shows the probability distribution of net present value and internal rate of return based on sample of simulated values. And generally the results are shown graphically in this case. Talking about the risk preferences of investors, it can be possible that there are three kinds of investors. There can be some risk-seeking investors, risk-neutral investors, and risk-averse investors. And based on the kind of risk attitude, the risk preferences the investors have, or the management of the company has, they would decide on which projects they are going to choose. So based on the net present value analysis and based on the risk adjustment to that, and the risk preference of the managers or the corporate which are dealing with these projects, they would decide upon, which of the project is most suitable for them as a company, and they would go for choosing that particular project. Now, as a technique, capital budgeting, to summarize with, we can say that, is a very important technique. Basically deals with cost and benefit analysis and comparison of investment to be made in long-term project in such a way that, in long term we do not end up taking up a wrong decision or making some mistake in terms of choosing a wrong project for our company. So that is why this decision is very, very important, and these tools and techniques make us equipped with, taking this decision very well. So thank you all. Thanks for the patient listening.